For 10 years, the Lena brothers have invested time and money in Oak Island, tirelessly searching for hidden treasures. Their perseverance finally pays off when they strike gold, unearthing one of Nova Scotia's most remarkable finds. However, amidst their celebration, they stumble upon an unexpected threat that jeopardized their decade-long quest. Even before fully uncovering the island's treasures, what have the Lena brothers uncovered now? Can their team overcome this terrifying obstacle? Join us as we unravel the conclusion of the Oak Island saga and the chilling events unfolding before them. The money pit is collapsing. This is where the curse of Oak Island found the group facing a major hurdle that would end a decade of treasure hunting on Oak Island. One of the critical incidents was associated with the money pit, an important place in their treasure hunt that caused a dark stain on their trip. The Season 6 episode Voyage to the Bottom of the Senate was used to describe a difficult situation. According to Maudie, in the sketch plan of HH's artifacts, metal detection specialist Gary Drayton found an interesting big discovery in its center. Gary considered it a spike, or he believed a metal nail was inside. Jack Bigley's approach was hopeful, and he said that they might be on the original money pit. However, the group soon learned it was better not to rejoice too quickly, and someone saw the area around the excavation machine disappearing in mud. Their emotions changed significantly. However, the team's thrilling moment ended in an instant as they had no choice but to face bitter reality. They gave up on the thought of finding rumored treasure and artifacts, opting instead for what they called the downfall of the supposed money pit. In a way, Rick Lena, holding a torch, quickly checked the tunnels revealed underground for an entrance to the area. This unanticipated issue posed a challenge for the team to work with. They were left not with answers but more questions. The team's latest finding even turned Rick Lena into the most optimistic of the brothers, a considerably grave concern. He revealed that the likelihood for other parts of the money pit region to collapse was high, thus rendering their efforts in vain. He was concerned that despite all their diligence and study, they would run into impossible barriers that would make it impossible for them to continue their mission. In the past, the team struggled to locate a bone in the money pit. They've discovered something else now. Is their tough journey concluding, or will they still uncover treasures, hidden tunnels? The Lena brothers made no ordinary discovery, and they achieved a huge breakthrough in the renowned Oak Island money pit. Geologists Terry Mason and Charles Barkhouse were intrigued with the DN111.5 borehole, which they closely monitored through its development stage and throughout its after-treatment processes. Section upon completion of drilling in a few sampling intervals to assess nature changes along that axis from field array readings, the engineers were racing against time to arrive at the money zone, buried between 80 and 120 feet below the bottom. The team members literally could not help themselves, so eager they were to see whether what had happened would soon bear some fruit. Surprisingly, Mike Tedford, the drilling master, dropped a bombshell. It appeared he had struck something big at roughly 90 feet. The crew was delighted to a great extent by the unanticipated discovery and wanted more information on their newfound wisdom. They felt some tension lowering in the air since they were pondering over its transition impact, which was implied from Rick's concerns about his previous embrace of the money pit location almost solely asymmetrically. This shocking news met with pleasure in Charles and Terry's minds while they thought about the possibilities. They asked questions because they wanted assurance that Mike had discovered an object at a depth of 90 feet. As a result, even when Mike consented, there was much free space under the ground for their Joe. Will it be a tunnel or a race to gold? This dumbfounding revelation placed everyone at a crossroads, considering their important discovery. Charles quickly gathered the troops and enlisted Rick and Maudie's support, since their leadership was even more important now. The group decided on this choice quickly and got straight to work. When Charles reached for the phone, he called Rick and Maudie, who immediately answered with contagious enthusiasm and hurry over the money pit training program that day. Thrilled, Rick in particular, everyone's excitement increased as the DN11.5 coordinates fell in the middle of a treasure zone. Rick declared that the DN11.5 was in fact inside the treasure zone. It is well known that the treasure zone has substantial gold values. Just picture the excitement pumping through their system as they absorbed this knowledge. There seemed to be no end to the possibilities on this exciting day. By the time Rick had gathered his men together to discuss this and another recent occurrence, some extraordinary rapid developments were unfolding at the money pit. In a way, it was an astonishing discovery. Mike Tedford insists that the drilling rods pierced through something at approximately 90 feet. This sting seemed to disappear in an opening no more than 1.5 feet away from their grasp. At that point, the enthusiastic team was simply panting. This aside, however, the story took a twist and more elements of mystery are unraveled. From an observational perspective, one important thing that struck Terry was that all coordinates on DN 111.5, DN 205, and dwelling number 3 were perfect from east to west when supported by a bit of strip paper. The discovery at this coordinate is part of an underground building being 94 feet below the surface level only increases eager curiosity. At 94 feet below grade, a structure is struck by every alignment, reaching roughly 90 feet. Mike is hitting this point now, suggesting that maybe they were reaching the end of the tunnel. Now, the main concern for everyone was if they had discovered any more of this construction, and if it was related to the gold discovered nearby. Connections and confirming Terry's intuition were the main goals. Their suspicions seemed to be confirmed by the scientific findings. However, a more thorough investigation was required to support their developing idea rather than just depending on intuition. In pursuit of discovering the secret buried beneath Oak Island, they ventured more into the island's heart. The more they investigated, the more immersed they got in the island's mysterious past. They got excited just by thinking there might be a hidden tunnel deep down at the bottom beneath the pit. They understood that they were right on the brink of an epoch-making discovery that could complete history completely. On the whole, everyone was excited about the Eureka effect, a recognition that would turn their entire lives upside down. They had challenges, but they didn't falter. They swore that they could retrieve the sought-after solutions. In this case, they were willing to study details closely to identify more about such an interesting discovery. They used an X-ray spectrometer to check the specimen of a dried wood piece that they had removed from the passage, which was chilled. Emma found relics of the typical materials available on Oak Island. The common elements iron, manganese, titanium, calcium, potassium, and aluminum were abundant in the materials from Oak Island. She carefully reviewed the outcomes, wanting to get all the information, but there was an interesting turn in store for them. Gold was discovered, which was an unexpected finding. An endless amount of enthusiasm was sparked when they realized the wood they were analyzing had traces of this valuable metal. Gold was displayed as the anomaly. The crew, unable to suppress their curiosity, asked Emma what made the discovery of gold in the data special. Emma confirmed that gold was an uncommon component in the results. They discovered an astounding fact as they dug deeper into the sample analysis: only about 0.04% of the entire weight was gold. The mythic Oak Island is located on the southern coast of Nova Scotia, Canada, and is interesting. There is a thin causeway between this lush, privately owned paradise and the mainland. Oak Island is close to Western Shore's picturesque rural area, with its breathtaking views of the island. Trees, wilderness, fields, and the Moine Bay's azure waters enclosing it. Chester, the picturesque village, adds more charm to an already enchanting island. However, Oak Island is not just a regular island, it is a place that has intrigued and captured the souls of explorers for centuries. Its setting dates back to the Breach period in Nova Scotia's climate, which ranges between scorching summers and winters, below freezing point, attracting adventurers who tell stories regarding sunken treasures and antique objects. This area is characterized by frequent fog, forming for long periods of up to 90 days in a year, covering the shores. It also faces the challenge of sudden and strong storms, hurricanes, or nor'easters that can disrupt the island's peace. Seeing the island's nature, one finds a diversity of mixed forests and temperate broadleaf, locally known as the New England Acadian forest. Here, glorious birds abound: osprey, black guillemot, great blue herons, and even the elusive rosy. Looking at the paleogeography of Oak Island, it is clear that one endangered and protected bird species, according to Canadian lawmakers, has management measures in place as part of continuous attempts to support their habitat. A member of Canada's Geological Survey, J.W. Goldthwait, mapped the island in 1924. His findings suggested that there is a secret Oak Island below the layers of soil, where two types of bedrock exist. The island has four great drumlins, a somewhat hilly landform fashioned over ages by the forces of glaciers. Beneath layers of soil and bedrock, treasures may remain concealed. Oak Island features two distinct types of bedrock. The southeastern part boasts Mississippian Windsor Group limestone and gypsum, while the northwestern region reveals Camber Ordovician Halifax Formation slate. Intriguingly, Oak Island and Mwande were once a lagoon that became submerged over 8,000 years ago as glaciers melted and sea levels rose. Moreover, core samples from the triangular swamp have detected salt and water intrusion, possibly caused by human activity or a monumental storm dating back to the late 1300s or early 1400s. Oak Island's enduring enigma has persisted for centuries, since the late 1700s, when legends began to flourish about hidden treasures buried within the island, tales that would elicit desires from humankind across time. Could one capture this island's treasure if found? The initial attempts to unearth the island's secrets still hover in darkness, but 1856 has been identified as the year when those legends began materializing. Beyond Captain Kidd's treasure legend, theories of religious artifacts, ancient manuscripts, and even Marie Antoinette's jewels have touched upon the essence of Oak Island in one way or another. However, skeptics continue to argue that it is just another natural formation caused by geological processes. The legendary Money Pit, an initial platform for treasure seekers on the island's east side, remains a focal point, attracting wealth hunters. The pit penetrates underground for more than 100 feet, adding to the mystery that continues to draw explorers, historians, and treasure hunters to Oak Island.